Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I'm your host, Louis Sung, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Ron Caniff, who is practicing his adminning skills today. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm ready to push comments into the show.
All right, sounds good. So
Which is all I ever do when I'm practicing my admin skills.
Hey, listen, that's something, man. That's something that helps take some of the pressure off of me, so I greatly appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, folks. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins just concluded their 2023 NFL draft, and that includes a load of 2023 undrafted free agents. So Chris Greer definitely threw his net out real deep this time to try to find some acorns after everything was said and done, which makes no sense considering the Miami Dolphins only had 4 draft picks. And we will go over everything and all the things that we discussed, all the things we saw, all the things we reacted to during the live show. I'm going to go over my thoughts on everything. Ron, I'm sure, has his thoughts. Alfredo Artiaga will be joining us shortly to give his thoughts as well. So plenty of stuff to discuss. But before we get into all that really quick, I just want to go ahead and mention that, as always, as soon as I can pull it up here, there it is. This show is brought to you by our friends over at U Brake Wheel Fix. The U Brake Wheel Fix is a complete automotive wheel solution. If you've ever parked too close to the sidewalk curb, U Brake Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, or curb rash. Or maybe your wheels are faded or peeling. You don't need to replace them, as U Brake Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new. Offering complete refinish options through powder coating, machining, and polishing, U Brake Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs. And if you're just looking to give your ride a new look, U Brake Wheel Fix also offers many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands, performance upgrades, window tinting, and suspension modifications. Located just south of Aventura, you can reach Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at ubrakewheelfix.com. They are really active on all social media platforms at U Brake Wheel Fix, so shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and get an estimate in just minutes. So don't delay, go to U Brake Wheel Fix and start customizing your ride to show off your Dolphins fandom today. And this show is also brought to you by PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. Whether that's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, one of each, it's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares over there at PrizePicks. They give you special Taco Tuesday promotions, Flex Friday specials to where you can get your money back if you lose or even multiply the amount of money you can normally win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you're any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up, which basically means you sign up using our promo code, that's the promo code 5, FIVE, and you put in up to $100, and they will literally give you 100 of their dollars for you to play with. You don't even have to touch the deposit until you've gone through that. So again, it's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com and get started winning today. All right, Ron, so let's get into all this. So obviously the Miami Dolphins had their draft. They had their players that they picked. We all had our thoughts on who exactly they felt the Miami Dolphins should be picking. And yes, Ender Fireplays, YT, thank you very much. I appreciate the kudos there. Pulse of Fins Nation is back. We took a little bit of a hiatus during the lead up to the draft. We're back now. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And I had a very... shall we say, less than ideal reaction to the Miami Dolphins' second-round draft pick, which is essentially their first-round draft pick. I personally was not a fan of it at first, but having been given time to reflect on the whole thing, I'm starting to warm up to the idea a little bit, simply because I understand what's happening here. They are preparing for the eventual departure of Noah Igbenogany, because obviously Noah Igbenogany is not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
What? Wait a minute. Maybe I'm lost. Maybe I just zoned out. You're talking about the drafting of Cam Smith, right?
That is correct.
You believe that is preparation of the eventual departure of Noah Igbenogany?
If you let me finish my sentence, I'll explain.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you should be allowed to finish your sentence with an opening like that, but I guess I'll let you continue to attempt to make this make sense.
Because they have to replace a dead body with an alive body. How about that? So they keep hanging on. They keep waiting for Noah Igbinoghene to do something. Now with Cam Smith in the mix, there's like, well, there's no more room for Noah Igbinoghene anymore. You see, because we have this guy and we have this guy and we have this guy. There's just no room for you anymore, kid. I guess it's time to part ways. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. So quite frankly,
time.
it's been time for a long time. But with that being said, now the reason I was so upset about it at first when the draft actually happened was because I was thinking in very traditional terms. I was thinking in the terms that you have Xavier Howard acting as one of your star corners, and then you have Jalen Ramsey on the other side, basically recompleting the old Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain duo that I've been wanting for such a long time. I thought we had it when Byron Jones was here, and for a little while we did, and then Byron Jones got hurt, and then everything just kind of fell off after that because he never came back. So the dream was dead. And then they brought it back to life when they traded for Jalen Ramsey. And I thought, yes, we got back to where we needed to be. I'm very happy about this. And then they drafted Cam Smith. And it didn't make any sense to me because it's like, okay, so you drafted a corner who is not going to play very much because you literally just traded for one of the best cornerbacks in the modern era, and you still have one of the other corners of the modern era who is really good on the other side. What is Cam Smith going to do exactly? And that's when people started talking. People started discussing the possibilities. They started talking about, well, it's not going to be because they're waiting for somebody to replace Xavier Howard or Jalen Ramsey. It's so that it gives Jalen Ramsey the freedom to do exactly what it was that he was doing with the Los Angeles Rams. He was a roamer. He was a nightmare for any quarterback because where was Jalen Ramsey going to line up this time? You just didn't know. Where was he going to mess you up? Where was he going to make a big play and just ruin your whole offense? So when in that light, I kind of made more sense to me. Okay, so if they're going to try to make Jalen Ramsey the Swiss Army knife of the defense, which is something that they tried to do with Minkah Fitzpatrick, and he didn't want to play ball, but Jalen Ramsey, I feel like, can do it at a much higher level than Minkah because Minkah's whole career has just been being in the right place at the right time. Jalen actually makes it happen. So if that's the case, though, you still need another dedicated boundary corner. So if you're going to go ahead and have a competition between Cam Smith and Kader Kohou, and maybe you can throw Nick Needham in there, assuming he's healthy. And if you want to give other players a chance, Trill Williams, now you have a 4-man competition for the other starter spot next to Xavier Howard. And when I say starter, I mean that term very loosely because obviously with Vic Fangio's style of defense, there's going to be cornerbacks all over the field. And Jalen Ramsey is going to be, is he going to be in the safety? Is he going to be in the slot? Is he going to be in the boundary? You just don't know. So with that kind of mentality in mind, I kind of started to warm up to the whole Cam Smith idea. So I want to get your thoughts on what your initial reaction was to the pick. I don't know what you were reacting was because I tried to get you on the show. You were a busy man. I get it. So now I need to know what was your reaction to Cam Smith.
Well, I was proud of myself for one. You know, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I had an instant, that's an awesome pick reaction. And I know most people didn't. They were like, what the heck? Supposed to be tight end, supposed to be right tackle, blah, you know, should have at least gotten a guard, all that stuff. But I instantly realized, okay, this new defense requires both defenses, the one we just played and the one we will play, require a lot of DBs, a lot of corners, right? They just have completely different roles. So that I know. Secondly, I remember last year, if everybody could hearken back to last year when there were times on the field that we were playing like some scrub off the street cornerback, an undrafted free agent, and Justin Bethel, who had played 39 snaps at cornerback in 4 seasons combined. That's what we were dealing with the injury situation. Cam Smith is CB4. That's who he is. He is cornerback number 4. I don't think Nick Needham is going to be ready to go 100%. And then another thing you have to think about, they don't want to put themselves in another situation where they're relying and waiting on another cornerback to come off an Achilles injury. It's see if he can be the guy like they did last year. They realized that was a mistake. Another point is X. X has been getting injured. You know, he has a year where he's good, and then he has a year where he's injured, and a year where he's good, and a year where he's injured.
So we're on the upside.
Yeah, hopefully, but we don't know as he gets a little older. And then, yes, finally, we don't know how much longer X is actually going to be on the team. Maybe another year or two. But here's the other cornerback on the boundary if and when we don't have X anymore. So I think for multiple, and then, okay, and I said finally, okay, and finally, they got a first round talent in the second round. We didn't have a first round pick, but we got a first round player. So for all those reasons, which is a huge long list, I instantly thought that, and I know I wasn't on Twitter, but I posted it in OnlyFans in the premium vetted channel. Sorry, guys. Uh, but
Not fair, man.
I
I can't
posted
afford
instantly,
this.
and I watched the reaction of most Dolphins fans and a ton of media, to include some in the OnlyFans chat, have a total freak out meltdown. Now I think many have come to reality since then, but I instantly thought it was an awesome pick. I thought that they'd made the right move. I like the player. I like the pick. I think it was good. And then also you have to consider, we spent a lot of last offseason, a lot of resources into the offense, a ton. Spent a lot of money. We spent picks, or a few picks. We didn't really have many picks. We spent picks in trade, right? With a lot of free agent picks, et cetera, et cetera. This year, it's the defense's turn. We've traded for Ramsey. We've signed Long. We've drafted Cam Smith. It's the defense's turn. So I think for all those reasons, it makes sense, and I am happy for it.
And now we're going to add Alfredo Arteaga to the mix. He was having, I think he was mentioning that they was having some audio issues. I'm not sure. Alf, are you with us?
Yes, I got you guys now.
All right, perfect. There's always something, unfortunately, it seems like. But hey,
Well,
we're glad to have you.
Alf,
really
we
glad
were
that you
just
joined us.
discussing the Cam Smith pick.
Yeah,
and
Cam Smith.
Just people's reaction to it, whether, most were freaking out. A few of us, like myself, were in glee, instantly glee. I was happy about the pick for about 10 different reasons I just gave, which you probably didn't hear, but just curious to hear what was your instant reaction to the pick, and then what are your thoughts now as you've had a few days to let it set in?
Yeah, it was about, I would say, 5 seconds of shock, then followed by 5 seconds of, oh yeah, now I see what they're thinking and what they're doing. Followed by 20 seconds of, wait a minute, did they get the right guy? Followed by 1 minute of thinking about it and saying, yeah, they probably did the right thing by the team.
Because you liked DJ Turner, right? DJ Turner a little better.
Yeah, that's the only guy that I like better. And like I said on Twitter and I said on the show, man, if I'm going to start nitpicking who I have as my cornerback 5 over my cornerback 6, then what the hell are we talking about? Like that's people that do that on Twitter to sound important. Like who the hell's going to know if DJ Turner's going to be better than Cam Smith?
Yeah, nobody knows. I mean, it was just
DJ my opinion
Turner
off
could
of
be
film.
all world, and Cam Smith could be a bust. But at this point today, on May 3rd, 2023, not even their mothers know. Simple as that.
Yeah, nobody knows really. Look at Joey Porter Jr. I had Joey Porter Jr. as my number 2 cornerback. Okay, he dropped to the second round. The only one that I got absolutely right was Devin Witherspoon, but he was absolutely, he was a no-brainer on film, on anything. Okay, so yeah, it's obvious that the board, when you're picking 51st and you feel you have a perceived need, which was their perceived need was a boundary corner, and I think he's going to play, by the way.
Oh, he's going to play. I know you just mentioned that he's CB5. I had just gotten finished saying that I thought he was CB4 right away, because I just don't know if Needham's going to be ready.
Yeah, so, when you get past all of that, you realize, it's actually a need. We just sold ourselves on, who we had on the roster already. And if you think about it, we had starters. We had no depth. Now we have depth because Trill Williams is playing safety. Kader Kohou's a slot guy.
I'm excited about that.
Jalen Ramsey is going to play outside, in the slot, and at free safety, and on the hash. He's going to play everywhere. Okay, you seem to be short a cornerback. They're also short a nose tackle. So, when you get down to it, yeah, the pick actually made perfect sense when you step back away from it.
I'll admit that I was one of the people. I was live on the air with Duke and my friend, like all the guys from the 5 Reasons Sports Dolphins crew. You were in there. Well, no, you weren't in there. You were doing first round stuff with us, but I was not one of those ones who were thrilled about the pick. I was riding the Darnell Washington train all the way to the bank, man. I was like, I can't believe he's fallen this far. We're gonna get our superstar tight end, and then the Dolphins didn't pick him. And then he managed to make it to the 3rd round. And I thought, okay, well, I guess there's some red flags there. But hey, now the Dolphins have an opportunity. Let's go ahead and pick him. And they didn't pick him then either. So, yes, understandably, I was a little kind of peeved because it felt like they were ignoring an obvious need. It took a little bit of talking from folks like you and CK and Simon. Simon, as far as I can tell, Simon likes the player. He doesn't like the pick. Is that correct?
Yeah, his initial reaction was a what the hell are they doing? This doesn't help us at all this year. But I think he's come down off that now that he's thought about it.
Yeah, because I showed him some simple math, and this is if everybody is completely healthy, and we know that everybody always stays completely healthy, just like last year, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If everybody's completely healthy. And let's just say Nick Needham can't play this year. That's it. That's the only thing that happens. And I don't think I'm making. I don't think this is a stretch, and I don't think that I'm just coming out of left field with this. Nick Needham is coming off of an Achilles tear. Where was the last time we heard that?
I don't know. Sounds familiar. Something like 10 years ago, maybe, or something.
Yeah, the last time that happened.
Byron Jones by every week.
The last time that happened, we had $18 million sit on the bench the entire season. So let's just say it happens again. By some miracle, Nick Needham is not ready this year. Guess what? Now you're short 500 snaps. Go find 500 snaps.
500 snaps is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's about half the load of Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. Like Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, they're going to play 1,000 snaps. Okay? So it's half the load. It's about 30 snaps a game, almost 40 snaps a game. It's kind of important. It's half the defensive snaps in the game, probably. Where are you going to find them? Well, guess what? They just drafted him. So, yeah, when you step away from it, it actually does make sense. And I think he's going to play a lot, and he's going to be important. And this is all, if you get back down to it, this is all because of Noah Benogany. Like Noah Benogany, this should have been the year he matured into that role, and it's not going to happen for him. And evidently, they are sounding the alarm. It's over on him, and especially with this system, it's absolutely over on him because they drafted a guy who's a perfect scheme fit for Vic Fangio's defense.
And Noah, if it was bad enough for him to try and figure out Flores' defense, he'll never. He just can't. It's just not the guy. No offense to him, but I don't.
Yeah, Noah is best to be told, look. You got this guy man to man, and that's it. That guy in front of you, you have him man to man.
Yeah, how much man do you think we'll even play? I mean, it'll probably be one of the lower. It'll probably be one of the lower percentages in the league. A complete reversal of what we've been doing.
Yeah, if Noah Benogany was smart, as soon as he saw that they signed Vic Fangio, I would have put my house on the market.
Does he even own a house? Yeah, that's funny. I'm putting my house on the market.
As soon as that would happen, I would like, okay, this guy, I'm not a scheme fit here.
If you like Miami, perhaps invest in a small condo with a low HOA.
Right.
Everybody, Ron Caniff, our good friend Ron Caniff is good at real estate. You should also reach out to him if you need some.
I don't even do that anymore, man. You don't even know my
people.
Yeah, I do know people. Yeah, my wife's still a realtor. I don't do mortgages.
There you go. Boom. Go talk to Ron's wife.
There you go.
Maybe not.
But you'd be talking to my wife.
Maybe not. All right. So So we talked about Cam Smith. The next thing I wanted to go over a little bit here. So the Miami Dolphins made their 3rd round pick, Devon Achane, or is it A-Chain?
I think it's A-Chain.
It's A-Chain. It's
A-Chain.
Is it long A or short A? A-Chain.
Okay. A-Chain.
So Devon Achane, the fastest man in the draft.
Was he really? I knew he was fast. I didn't know he was the fastest.
The fastest guy in the draft.
Faster than Mingo?
Fastest guy in the draft.
Oh, wow.
Devon Achane.
Yes. Fastest guy.
Okay.
Somehow it's not a surprise. It was kind of funny because we watched the clips, right, of all the picks that were being made in the war room. We saw the behind the scenes of everything. This is Mike McDaniel when they're signing Cam Smith.
Yeah, I know. He had his feet up. Got his feet up on
his
there.
phone.
He's just looking at his
He's like
phone.
not paying attention. Whatever. Okay, yeah, you want me to talk to the defender? Okay, I'll talk to the defender. Hey, kid. Hey, we're really glad to have you. Okay. See you later. Bye. And that was it. Devon Achane pops in. And it's like, dude, you're still fast, right? You got them slides. You ready to go,
fast.
man? It's like he's so excited. Like it's very weird. In some weird, bizarro world, he kind of reminds me of Adam Gase, but only in the sense that he only cares about the offense. Like you can kind of tell he's like, I don't care about defense, man. Let me run my offense.
He cares about the defense. He got burned last year when they missed the guy that he wanted, the running back, and he had it in his mind. There's just no way Achane will still be there in the third round. Greer kept telling him he would be, and let me tell you another thing too. If I'm ever at a poker tournament and Mike McDaniel's in that same tournament, I want to sit down at his table because he's the worst poker player. That guy gives it away every draft. He gives away either his disappointment or excitement of the player he drafted. It's actually pretty hilarious.
Oh no, and I'll give him this. The way the running backs were coming off the board, I thought, nah, there's no way that Devon Achane's going to make it all that way because did Bijan Robinson go number 8 and then Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions at 12? I'm like, wait.
And by the way, I know we're not talking about other picks, but Bijan Robinson, that is the absolute 100,000% perfect team and scheme for him to go to. He's going to be the number 1 running back in the league next year. Calling it now. Calling it now. If you play fantasy, draft him.
Yeah, if you play fantasy, you better be thinking about taking him in the second round.
And at least.
His
And
price
if
is
you
going to
don't,
be hard to predict.
He went to the best rushing team in the league. I understand they were third, but the first was Chicago and second were the Ravens. They were 1 and 2 because their quarterback runs. Atlanta has the number 1 conventional rushing game in the league already with Arthur Smith. Just doing it with guys that I can't name one running back on that team. Well, I can now, right? That is going to be sick. Atlanta's going to go to the playoffs in the back of Bijan Robinson next year. It's a weak NFC, a weak division, real weak division. And that was a great pick. Okay, back to the Dolphins. My apologies. Thank God he didn't go to the Eagles. No offense to the Eagles and Manny, but that would have been, that would have been it.
I still remember when the rumor was around that Derrick Henry had been traded to the Eagles. That didn't happen.
No,
I knew there was something wrong there. There's like, nah, they didn't trade him to the Eagles.
So do you think are we still in the market for Cook, Alf? Do you think that's,
yeah, I think that's likely to happen.
Wow, dude. Doesn't it feel kind of weird though? Okay,
Well, put it this way. It's one of those things that if it doesn't happen, it'll be surprised because everybody thinks it's going to happen.
Yeah, everybody thinks people are reporting it. Not no one that's
Vikings reporters are reporting it.
Yeah, Vikings reporters are reporting it. That's crazy. It just feels weird to have we'll have such an amazing. Do you think about Jeff Wilson will be our RB4?
And by the way,
but we don't have a starting right tackle,
For listeners and people that are watching the show and they're like, okay, then why doesn't it happen already? Well, look at your calendar. You're a month early.
Yeah,
so there's no money.
There's no money until June 1st.
Got 28 days left.
Yeah. So if it's gonna happen, I guess June 1st at 12:01. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's I guess when it'll drop. But
although
everybody's expecting it for it to happen. So
can I just say something? Then. Can I just
you can say a lot of things. It's your show, Lewis.
Speaking of money, how much cap space do the Ravens have? They got to be negative 20 by now.
I could go to over the cap and see what's going on there. Remember that when they sign Lamar Jackson, they get a pretty big cap relief right off the bat. That first year, it's a bonanza. They could fit a lot into that first year.
I'm glad for him that worked out. I think he's best with that team, and he fits that team, and it's good for that city. And I'm glad that worked out for Lamar.
So according to what I'm reading from Over the Cap, according to his cap number in 2023 is $32 million.
Really? That's actually high.
$32 million. And then the next guy up is Ronnie Stanley at $23 million. Marlon Humphrey at about $20 million. So where are these other guys? Odell Beckham, 3.9. Okay, so does that mean all of his money is in this first year, I guess? And then just signed what's his name? Rock Ya-Sin for
Welcome
$6 million.
to the pulse of Ravens Nation.
Yeah, but look, I'm looking at
we flock to the news.
We're talking about money, though, right? And the Dolphins are relevant with money right now. According to Over the Cap, team cap space is $3 million. They just signed Rock Ya-Sin for $6 million. So what's going on there?
I don't know, man. The cap isn't real until it is. That's all I can ever say.
It makes it hard sometimes. It's like
I'm not an expert on how the cap works. That's for sure. It's crazy.
I mean, I can only imagine that. I guess Rock Ya-Sin took a signing bonus everything and said, "Okay, fine, I won't cost a bunch against your salary cap or something." I don't even know how that works really. Like it's a 1-year deal. Shouldn't the whole deal count for the salary cap?
Alf?
No, it doesn't work that way because the money can be moved.
Yeah,
so,
moved to what? An extension? It's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, but it just gets kicked down the road, and then you convert bonuses into cash, and there's your cap space that you create every single year to stay until that day comes. And it came for New Orleans this past season when you have to pay all of your bills. Let me explain how the salary cap kind of works as far as a strategy. Okay?
Please do.
All right, I'll explain this. Let's say that you make, let's give a nice round figure. Let's say you make $100,000 a year, right? That's your salary. That's your job. That's what you make. That's your living, right? But you don't want to live like somebody that makes $100,000 a year, right? You want to live like somebody that makes $1 million a year.
You want to be a baller.
Yes, you want to be a baller, right? So the way that works is pretty simple. You want to be a baller. You only make $100,000 a year, right? So you want to wear a $20,000 Rolex, right? And you need the $100,000 car, right? You need all these things. You can't get the big baller house because they actually check your income for one of those things, right? But if you make $100,000 and you make your payments, they'll give you a pretty fat credit card, okay? And what you do is you just run up bills on this credit card. And you keep paying the minimum and the minimum and the minimum and the minimum until the interest starts gobbling it up and actually overflowing. And then they send you a letter one day that says, "Hey guys, you got to pay below this threshold, okay? Or if not, we suspend the credit."
Yeah, you hit the debt ceiling.
You essentially hit the debt ceiling, and then you're like, "Okay, no, I want to pay the minimum." No, you can't. You got to pay into the principal. Okay, then screw you. I won't pray against the principal. And they say, "Okay, we close out the account. Now you owe the whole damn thing."
Yep.
So when you own the whole damn thing is what happens to New Orleans, and that's all it is. It's you're kicking the can down the road until that one day where you have to pay off. You know. Now the Dolphins. And I keep trying to tell people, but Twitter's full of stupid people. All right, so we got to start operating on.
I don't believe
to
you.
Okay, we got to begin on that premise. All right, that Twitter's just full of dumb people. All right, when people on Twitter say, Chris Greer's bad at his job. Oh, really? He's in charge of Brandon Shaw, right? Look at this team's cap situation. They've built a team where they roll over the talent every 2 years. You know what that means? They will never ever be in cap hell. Because in 2 years, you know what they could do? They could go crazy in free agency once again when they clear all the cap space. They'll have like another $120 million.
They can keep and extend the ones that worked and get rid of the ones that didn't.
Right.
Have money
every 2 years.
Guys.
This team operates on this 2-year system where everybody is in here for 2 years. Everybody's in here for 2 years. And if we like you, we extend you past that second year. But everything is a commitment for 2 years and nothing more. Even Jalen Ramsey, what is it? It's a 2-year commitment. They owe guaranteed money for 2 years. That's it. After that second year is gone, he can go. Or you can trade him, or you probably extend him. You probably, you give him another 1-year deal or 2-year deal. So they're very well run. Their cap is in fantastic shape. And that's how you do it. And
I mean, they're cap tight, but they're not looking at huge deficits with what the hell are we going to do in a year or two. When you say they're in great shape, doesn't mean they have $30 million to spend. They don't.
I'm looking at the cap space for 2024. Right, they're going to
but
be in the red. They're going to be in
that
the
number.
Yeah, they're going to be in the red about 14 million by the time it's all over. But obviously, they're going to be able to move on from the likes of Emmanuel Ogbah if they so desire, and that'll free up a lot of money. And if they decide to move on from Jerome Baker, that's going to be another bit. They're already back in the green.
They can restructure, and that number is going off of 2023 cap number.
Exactly. They haven't.
They'll add another 15 million, 10, 15 million to it at some point, early in next offseason. So yeah, you're right, Alf, man. Look at what Greer did. How did he get David Long? And I know we're supposed to be talking about the draft. We'll get back to it, but how did he get David Long for the price he got? I don't think every GM. Yeah, maybe.
Listen, if you want to make a name for yourself, you play with the opportunity to play with one of the best defensive coordinators of the modern NFL era. Plain and simple. It's like you make a new reputation for yourself, show that you're worth a maximum amount of contract or however much, reset the market for linebackers, because you're going to have that kind of a year in the defense of a guy who literally redesigned what defenses play like in the NFL.
All right, let's get back, because I don't think we really finished talking about Achane and Alf. What do you think that offense? I mean, let's pretend we're not going to get Cook, even though it looks like we might. Achane, Mostert, Wilson. I mean, Mike McDaniel finally gets to run the run game that he really wants to now, right?
Yeah, and this is, this draft pick was as much about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as it was about the run game. Devon Achane is going to hold linebackers. There is no more selling out to the hash. There is no more bailing out into the deep middle to try to take away those dig routes. This guy will hold linebackers, because if you do cheat and try to take on to the hash, and this guy gets leverage on you, he's going 75 yards for a touchdown.
That's what San Fran and the Chargers were trying to do to us. They were probably the only teams that had real success doing it. Buffalo was trying, but they just didn't have the right linebackers to do it, I don't think.
Buffalo actually committed to it drastically, and we made them pay for it.
Yeah, we made them pay because they overcommitted to it. But San Fran had is it Fred Turner? I'm sorry.
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. So they have Warner, and I think I don't know what hell happened in that damn Chargers game. That game was a nightmare. I try and just block that one out. I didn't even bother to rewatch it. But that was really the time where we saw that was maybe the strategy to try and go up against it. Another thing too, and this is what I like about this too, is another strategy there is if they try and do that, not just Achane. And I know this is going to sound completely silly, and no, he's not going to have a huge season, and no, he's not going to catch 50 balls. But you know who's going to be sneaky good in those situations, and they're going to make him pay? Smythe. Because before, when you had Gesicki there, you knew what he was doing, and you knew how to defend it. Now Smythe is going to be there mostly as an inline blocker. You send your linebacker back. Yeah, maybe we hammer you with Achane, but then maybe we have Smythe just block a little and then sneak out there like 3-4 yards out, and there's a 4, 5, 6 yard reception each time. I don't know what you think, Alf, about that thought, but that's kind of where I see Smythe in that role. I think he's going to catch maybe 30, 35 balls doing that sort of thing this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're going to get into the 6th round pick.
Oh yeah, soon. Sorry. We're still supposed to be talking about the draft.
Yeah. But
you're talking about the draft. It's Devon Achane.
That's true.
But yeah, it's going to work. It's going to work well that way. And yeah, Durham Smythe is perfect for those that role. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like if you remember on 3rd and 1, when we ended up settling for a field goal, when we're trying to ice the game against Buffalo in the snow, we actually called that because we thought we were going to get the right coverage, and they completely sold out to stop it. And then that's when Durham Smythe got hit for no gain on 3rd and 1. But yeah, he should be able to eat in this situation. But I love the pick because, look, I love the pick. At 51, I was like, okay, there could be other people. At 84, I'm over the moon with this Devon Achane pick.
Yeah, because a lot really wanted us to take him in the 2nd round.
And Chris Greer was absolutely right when he sold it to Mike McDaniel as this guy will be there at 84, and that's where we'll take him, and they did. So kudos to Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel for having the conviction on the player and actually wanting the player.
Let me tell you, Ron, you said you wanted to play poker with Mike McDaniel. You know who I don't want to play poker with?
Chris
Greer.
Greer.
Not at all.
No way, dude. I would totally lose. Definitely not.
I don't even know how he was able to reason out that. Oh yeah,
I tell you who I don't want to play poker with: Marvin Allen. Marvin Allen in his press conference with Chris Greer.
Oh yeah,
looked like he was going to give away every secret we ever had. None of it was true. Nothing he said was true. He basically went out there to just lie to us for 15 minutes straight. And if you bought into what he was saying, you got our board, you got the Miami Dolphins draft board completely wrong.
Yeah, and Chris Greer, he's not going to put on a poker face, but somehow he's going to talk you into trading your ace to him for a 3 and a 5.
No, what was fun,
and when you're done, you're like, why did I do that?
No, what was really funny was that like there were people commenting about how when Marvin Allen was talking, Chris Greer was looking at him like, "Will you shut up? What are you doing? Shut up!" And people bought that too. I wonder if the whole thing was just one big acting job, like Marvin, like Chris Greer was the straight man.
Yeah, it was completely staged, and I admire it. But it begs the question, like, really, why is anybody doing a press availability right before the draft? Like, why? You're not gonna get a straight answer. Ever. It's all going to be a bunch of lies.
Well, they did technically address the tight end position, so we'll go into the next guy here. So we had to wait, but the Miami Dolphins did eventually make another pick. It was going to be in the 6th round, and they drafted Elijah Higgins out of Stanford, a wide receiver who was listed as a tight end. So tight end, huh? Another one of the Tanner Connor situations. But I went ahead and I looked at his number and I looked at his measurements. The dude is listed as 6'3", and as far as his overall weight, he's listed as 234 pounds. For comparison's sake, Sam Laporta is listed as 244 pounds. It's literally just a 10-pound difference between the two. So really, aside from just being a better blocker, maybe what does Sam Laporta do that Elijah Higgins cannot? I don't know the answer to that question.
He's more of a conventional tight end, and he can play in line. Elijah Higgins will not play in line. He'll be more of a slot guy. Elijah Higgins is the answer to Trent Sherfield being gone, and is also the answer to Mike Gesicki being gone. He's going to be the move tight end, so he'll play in 12 personnel opposite of Durham Smythe.
But we couldn't find a role for Gesicki. Like, we were forcing him in, and McDaniel didn't like it. Why now try and add a guy to replace what you didn't hardly use to begin with? I mean, it's a 6th round, so let's just start with that. It's 6th round, but why are we looking for that type of guy when he really wasn't a fit in the offense?
Because we were paying Mike Gesicki $10 million to do a $2 million role.
Okay, that's fair.
And now we're going to pay a 6th round pick salary to do the $2 million role.
Which is what, maybe $1 million? 800,000 to $1 million if?
It's a 6th rounder, not even $1 million.
Not even $1 million.
Do they just
get
about
the rookie, $500,000?
So they get the rookie minimum pretty much. At that
yeah, it should be a lot less.
Plus some kind of little bonus, I'm sure, for being picked over being like an undrafted free agent. I'm sure.
I'll get it to you right now. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm just curious what that looks like at each round. I heard you guys. I heard CK on your last show on 3 yards per carry. I mean, he was gushing over this guy. I would have thought we just drafted, Gronk or something. The way you guys were talking about him, I'm like, why is he in the 6th round then? If he's this great,
minimum rookie salary is $750,000. That's what they make. That's it. What they make in the 6th round.
Okay. So they got plenty.
And it'll be a 4-year deal.
Yeah, a 4-year deal at the 6th round. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if they want to give a 4-year deal.
That's actually kind of distant. That's actually kind of bad for the player to be a 6th round, be good, and then be stuck with a 4-year deal making $600 a year. I mean, I'll take it.
The key is it's actually $750,000 is the minimum.
$750. Okay.
Yeah, but you got to understand that the signing bonus is going to be about a quarter of the entire deal. So, if you're lucky, actually less than a quarter. You're talking about an eighth of the entire deal. So maybe
so that's $375,000.
If that. More likely than not, somewhere around $250,000 signing bonus.
Yeah.
So
then Uncle Sam takes it there. So 125,000. You can't even buy a house with it.
Yeah, you can't. You're not gonna ball
You can
out
buy
of
that
control.
Mercedes you've been eyeing, and that's about it.
You can't ball out of control. You got to be pretty smart with that first check for 100 and something K.
So you got to be
know?
Chris Greer, not Sean Payton, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you got to be pretty smart with that first deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buy a modest house, that you can afford with your salary, and then of course make the team, because if you don't,
yeah, you get cut and
you got a mortgage.
You get crap.
All you got was a mortgage out of the
Best
whole
to
deal.
rent. Best to rent. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see what he does. But typically, this type of position doesn't do much in their first year. I mean, I'm more interested to see. Okay, he kind of replaces. To me, I know he replaces Gesicki. Kind of replaces Tanner Connor, because we're expecting Connor this year to maybe actually possibly do something besides drop ball
passes,
and drop one pass and then never to be heard from again. So Connor's like the second year guy. Now this guy's the first year tight end who's going to see very minimal action, I would imagine.
And speaking of minimal action, we'll see if this happens to be true. But here's the last guy that they actually picked, 7th rounder, 238th overall, out of Michigan, an offensive lineman. Finally, it's Ryan Hayes. He does have some athletic blood in him. I think his mother was a volleyball player. His father was in sports as well. So the whole Hayes family apparently is big into the athletics. But the kid was a 7th rounder. I don't know. I guess he has good technique, but aside from that, not particularly impressive. So
I think the best case for him would be he ends up maybe like a backup guard. Like he makes the squad and he ends up being like backup right tackle or left tackle or something. What do you think, Alf?
Yeah, this is a pretty good
or guard. I meant not tackle.
Yeah, this is a pretty good, because we had this debate on the podcast too. This is a pretty good thing to talk about right now. He was successful at Michigan as a left tackle. And immediately what we're doing is we're looking at his tape and saying, hey, we got to make this guy a guard. Which means that we are repeating the same mistake we made with Liam Eichenberg in the first place. So Chris Kaufman had a pretty good suggestion. Why don't we just leave him at where he was good, at left tackle, and have him compete to be the backup to Teron Armstead? Personally, if you look at his tape, you're thinking to yourself, man, this guy could be a good left guard. Where did we make that mistake before?
Yeah. But didn't Ike get some shots at tackle, and he was terrible at that too? And I know he was rookie and you're switching him around, and that's
he actually played really well in the first game, remember, against New England.
Okay.
Yeah,
we were talking about this last year?
No, the year before.
Oh, the year before. Okay. Because I was going to
say. He made his debut.
As a rookie. Yeah.
He made his debut as a rookie at left tackle against New England, going against some pretty good players. And he played pretty well. It was just as the season wore on, he got more exposed as teams threw more at him. And they also had some weird ideas of where he was going to fit. They played him at right tackle. Remember that the previous regime was one that wanted to play everybody everywhere, so everybody knew how to play everything.
Yeah.
But then master of everything, but what is it?
It's a jack of all trades,
master of none.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's essentially what they tried to do. This one's very different. This is a different
complete
regime.
Opposite. Openly,
they're the complete opposite.
Said we don't like to move guys around. They literally said we don't cross-train the offensive line. They literally said that.
Yeah, we're like, if we think you're a left guard, you're a left guard. If we think you're a right tackle, you're a right tackle. You're not going anywhere else. That's it.
Question is, why do they think Austin Jackson is a right tackle? Oh, but
yeah, right.
Okay, so we have some tweets courtesy of Ron. I'm going to pull this up here. One of the comments was very simply, no country for offensive linemen. I'll be that guy until I'm proven wrong, but I'm still not confident in this offensive line. So that just goes right into what we were just talking about. Ryan Hayes, like, okay, yeah, well, where are you going to go? Are you going to go left tackle? Do they view you as a guard? If you are going to be a guard, that means you have to compete with Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg and whoever else they're going to throw in there. There are some other names in there. I know there was an undrafted guy that if anybody who hasn't yet, OnlyFins is right there in Alp's tagline, join OnlyFins for only $3 a month. CK was talking about it in there, saying that, oh, well, he kind of has a little bit of a violent streak to him. But when I heard that, You know what I heard? I heard the words Richie Incognito echoing in my head. So I don't know how you feel if that's a good comparison for Jared Horst.
Yeah, I would say so. CK has a pretty good idea on him because he's actually watched a lot of his tape. I haven't. But he thinks that there's something there, and it seems to be universal by everybody who's actually, put their eyes on these guys, on him. So I'm kind of interested to see how that works out. Out of all the UDFAs, the only one that I think is the one that I'm eyeballing. Oh, there's actually two of them. I think Michael Turk could be the new punter. Like, I think he could become the punter. First of all, he was one of the
highlighted.
Didn't we actually sign up? Like, what happens if we cut up the punter we signed? What's
it doesn't cost us anything. That's Jake Bailey.
Jake Bailey. You mean the Pro Bowler that we signed to replace Thomas?
It's gonna be a full blown competition between those two guys. So
interesting, but they didn't see fit to have any competition for Jason Sanders after the.
For what it's worth, if he's cut after June 1st, if you cut Jake Bailey, well, actually they do get $1 million in dead cap, so they don't save anything. So, but still. Oh, well, $1 million, whatever.
So they don't save anything for cutting him?
According to Over the Cap, you save zero. And I guess they guaranteed his contract. So maybe Jake Bailey maybe Jake Bailey will stick around. I don't know. I still think Michael Turk should beat him, honestly.
We'll see. I think for $1 million, as important as punter is, and it is important, if they feel like Turk over and above outplays him, they'll just say it's worth spending the extra $1 million. Or in this case, it'd probably be extra 500 or 700, whatever the rookie salary cap was.
I mean, hey, listen, there's a legacy with the Turk family and special teams. Okay, his father, not his father, his uncle Matt Turk, his other uncle Dan Turk. So special teams is in the Turk blood. As far as I'm concerned, he's already penciled in as the punter. I'm not convinced of anything else.
Okay, sounds good, man. Wouldn't it be so nice for finally on the? This happens all over our team. We have these little hidden gems we find through undrafted free agents. Sometimes it's low picks, but a lot of times it's undrafted free agents. We find these little gold flakes, right? And all of a sudden it's a big old chunk of gold, but it never happens with the offensive line. I mean, we're so overdue to find an offensive lineman out of undrafted free agents or a low pick that can at least play somewhat competent. I mean, we're beyond overdue. I just can't believe how much we've struggled to find offensive linemen. It just feels like way more than most teams.
Alf, you've been watching Hurricanes football for a long time. What about this DJ Shafe guy? Assuming that's how you say his name.
Roster body, maybe special teams if he trains on well. He was a good college player, but not all that great.
I mean, we're going to keep 9 offensive linemen probably, right, Alf?
Yeah.
53. So we've got you got to figure it's Armstead, obviously. I still would think Eichenberg at least makes it.
Eichenberg will make the roster.
Yeah, makes the roster. We've got Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson. Then who else? I know we signed some.
Kendall Lamb will probably make it.
Kendall Lamb, he's going to make it. Who else? I'm not actually staring at the roster, so
I'm just pulled it up. Robert Jones will probably make it. Dan Feeney will make it.
Let me do it. I like doing that.
Yeah, it's fun. I remember.
It's one of my favorite things to just
back when we used to do Fin Maniacs. I would do the way too early roster prediction, like right around right now. This is like the time I would do it in May sometime, just for fun.
I mean, I still think that they're going to bring in Cameron Fleming after the money comes in anyway. So.
Oh, man, I would love that. You guys know I'm down for that.
Yeah, I think that will happen. All right, the offensive line, Armstead, Eichenberg, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson are locks. Dan Feeney is a lock as the backup center.
That's 6.
Robert Jones is a lock as a backup guard. That's 7. Kendall Lamb is a lock.
So that's 8.
8. And then you need one more guy. Hopefully it's Cam Fleming, right?
And they brought him in for a visit. I'm sure that Butch Berry's going to say, hey, I want my guy. And they're just waiting for the money to come.
Yeah, just waiting for June 1st to hit.
Yeah,
And then
they're
two
gonna make-
guys have to make it as practice squad guys that you sneak onto the practice squad. I think they might keep 10 to start the season. Lester Cotton they brought in at the end of the season, and they brought him in on a Thursday, and he started a playoff game on Saturday. So what does that tell you? They had Teron Armstead telling him what to do during the game.
Oh, poor guy. Man,
Okay,
that's crazy.
so we'll see.
Jared Horst will make the practice squad. I'm sure. If there's anything to Chris's evaluation of him, Jared Horst will either be on the practice squad or on the roster.
Jaron Christian is another guy that they keep turning to see what happens with him. So yeah, it's gonna be one. Let me see. As far as tackles, it'll be one like legitimately, because Keon Smith also made the practice squad last year. It'll be 1, 2, 3. It'll be 4 guys going for 2 spots. So 4 guys going for 2 spots at tackle, because I think Kendall Lamb is a lock. All right. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 going for 1 spot as a backup guard, because Dan Feeney will be the first guy off the bench, and I think Lester Cotton might make it. And if you want to throw Lester Cotton in there, then that's 5 guys going for 1 spot. So, yeah, they're short. They need Cam Fleming in here immediately.
Big time. Yeah, because they don't. I mean, they almost don't have a starter, but at least one thing they don't have right now is, if you want to call Austin Jackson a starter, they don't have any competition for him. There's no competition for starter right now. When you're almost inking in Austin Jackson based off the current roster, that's a problem. I mean, it's okay to ink in a lot of the other players. Like it's good to ink in Tyreek Hill as a starting wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. It's good to ink in Ramsey as a cornerback. When you're inking in Austin Jackson as the right tackle, it's a little different.
Yeah, here's Lee Feldman saying, did nothing to fix the most important area, offensive line, not promising when protecting Tua is priority 1.
I put in a mostly positive vibe here. Why are you just picking out the negative ones?
Because you just said that, you're not feeling all that great about penciling in Austin Jackson as your starter in comparison to Jalen Ramsey at corner. So it's very relevant.
But the question wasn't just about offensive line. The question is about how we're feeling about the whole team in the season.
Okay, well, Enderfire plays YT wants to know about. I've heard this name come up a few times now, not just from him, from other people. Christopher Brooks out of BYU, a running back. Okay, what's so special about this kid, and why does he keep coming up in discussion?
Everybody likes him because he's giant.
Oh, he's a bruiser. Oh, yes. Okay, that explains.
And everybody likes those guys. He's 232 pounds.
Get you that yard or two, and he gets you that 3rd and 1.
So he's LeGarrette Blount.
Beat the Bills.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Blount. So but that's the guy that we got to watch. We got to watch him in camp and see how he trains on.
I mean, where is there? If they sign Cook,
no, if they sign Cook,
I mean,
there's no point.
The 4 running backs, unless somebody gets injured, like we know who they are. I mean, Ahmed isn't even going to make the roster if we sign
Ahmed
Cook.
will go on the practice squad. I'm not convinced somebody likes him enough to swipe him.
Oh yeah, someone will sneak him away. Someone will absolutely sneak him away. I know we're back to, oh my God, we overvalue our players.
Ron, did Myles?
Someone's gonna sneak away Ahmed.
Did Myles Gaskin get swiped?
But I never thought he would, and most people.
Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed for
Myles Gaskin also didn't get cut. He made the roster.
Which also didn't make any sense. But
yeah, he made the roster, so he didn't get cut. He was RB4. He's RB6 if they sign Cook. And I don't know that anybody would grab him, but somebody would grab Ahmed because he's had he's had some decent games. Like in times, there's been some times where all of a sudden that he shows flashes and had good games where we had to rely on him because other guys were hurt. And you have to consider, and I don't know what teams those were. If we looked at his game log, we could see. Watch for those teams. Those teams remember, oh man, that guy was good. Let's grab him. He could be our RB4, our RB3. We could do worse. So yeah, I think he would get snaked, but that's a good problem to have when that guy's your RB5, right? Gaskin is your RB6. I feel bad for Gaskin because he's a really good guy. I just feel like I don't know that he makes this. I don't know how he makes this roster this year without an injury.
I love players with effort, but effort can only get you so far when you're not the most talented guy.
He's the guy you want around for sure. Effort, locker room guy, great guy. but just he's
But
been
you ain't nothing compared to Dalvin Cook. I'm sorry.
he's been average on the field for sure. I mean, maybe we don't sign Cook. I mean, maybe it doesn't work out with the math.
I think it's gonna happen one way.
Maybe Vikings cut him before the first, and
even
somebody decides to sneak him away, grab him before we can. Somebody gets sneaky.
No, you know why? Because if the Vikings cut him, then Dalvin Cook gets to choose where he goes.
I know.
And if that's the case, then Dalvin Cook is going to say, "I want to go to Miami."
Yeah, everybody wants to be part of the South Beach AFC Dream Team. I agree. That's right.
But Ron, it's not even kidding. He literally, it's all been but reported at this point that Dalvin Cook wants to be in Miami. He wants to join.
What do you put the percentage at Alf? What do you put the percentage that Dalvin Cook is a Dolphin this season?
63.79%.
All right. I'd love to talk one day how you came up with that number, but okay.
How specific, Commander Data? Would you care to reason it?
What about you, Lewis? What do you think? It sounds like you're talking like 98%.
At this point, yeah. I mean, listen, when a player, this league has quickly become a very player-heavy league. And when a player says, I want to go to X team, nowadays it seems to be happening. It's like he basically says, I want to go here, and I don't want to sign for anybody except this team right here because I want to be part of this team right here. So if Dalvin Cook is coming out into his Minnesota Vikings, who currently own his rights, and is saying, I want to go to Miami, then at that point, you're basically making the ultimatum that I'm going to be a problem child until you send me where I want to go.
Doesn't look like it doesn't look like Miami or Chris Greer should say is willing to trade any kind of pick for him at this point, Alf. Looks like they're just biding their time. They have Achane now, so they're just going to bide their time and wait.
I'd throw a 7th round pick at the Vikings and say, take it or leave it.
I don't know. I think they're just going to wait for him to cut him. I don't know. I think sometimes teams won't take that trade. They'll cut the guy before they'll do it out of principle for future transactions.
I think so. Maybe they're holding out, but sometimes you can make it really tidy by just trading something, And maybe Minnesota's eyeing one of those assets from next year, probably the 5th round pick. And Miami's like, nah, we don't.
No, we're hanging on to the picks, man, that we have.
Yeah, we don't want to trade this 5th round pick.
Yeah, no more trading picks.
I mean, if the Dolphins want more picks, they have ammo. They can sign. They can, depending on how well some of these other players play on defense. You could trade Emmanuel Ogbah. You could trade Cedric Wilson because there may not be space for him. So you can get more picks. It's just a question of where do you want to invest the picks.
I thought you liked Cedric Wilson, and you're sold on him. I do like
Cedric Wilson, and I do think that he should be on this roster, and he would play really well. But it's obvious that of all the players that are on this roster right now, the one who seems the most likely to be traded, we had this debate not too long ago when I said Devontae Parker. Remember him? Like what I said, the most likely to be traded was Devontae Parker. I didn't say that they should. And then here's Cedric Wilson. We're doing the same thing again. The most likely guy to be traded is Cedric Wilson. I do not think the Dolphins should trade Cedric Wilson. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. You're speaking to what you think the Dolphins will do, not necessarily what you would like to do.
I think Cedric Wilson can ball in this offense.
I'm fine now. You know what? I mean, if trading Cedric Wilson gives us a starting right tackle we feel better about than Austin Jackson, then I'm all for it. Besides that, I say the more the merrier at this point. We already have a fantastic duo with Tyreek and with Waddle.
Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, Chosen Anderson if he makes the team.
I forgot we even signed Chosen. I keep forgetting that we signed
maybe just remind yourself it's Robbie Anderson under a different name.
Anderson. That's interesting.
Just more burners. Like it's all speed. Like look around this whole roster. It's full of guys who can run like a 4.3.
But we have the fastest duo of wide receivers and running backs in the NFL?
Yes,
probably.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And we definitely have the right offensive mind to move them all around. I mean, he proved that last year. It's not a question now.
Yeah, speed is key with Mike McDaniel for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Achane. The Achane. I'm excited about Achane, man. I'm pumped about that one. I really am.
Speaking of which, Dave Killingsworth, excited. Welcome to the South Florida track meet. That's what this team is. It's like remember how Buffalo was exhausted and fried and is like, oh my God, I can't keep this up anymore. I still remember when he was back on the Steelers, Lawrence Timmons said it was Lawrence Timmons who threw up on the field because he couldn't keep up with the Florida sun and just how much these Dolphins were running him ragged. Any team that comes to South Florida in the summertime and tries to chase down these players for 60 minutes, they're going to be dying the next day.
I'm gonna throw out a little bet. I think Miami.
Chad's not here. Chad's not here.
No, it's not that kind of bet. I think the NFL is going to kill that 1 o'clock Miami Dolphin home field advantage for September and beginning of October this year. I think they're not going to schedule Miami to play at 1 in Miami until like mid-October. What do you think, Alf? Just based off last year.
That would be cruel, unusual, and very much unfair to the Miami Dolphins because every team gets home field advantage except Miami now. Please.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to do that. I think some of it might just be the way the schedule works out. You're probably going to have you got a good shot maybe to have that opening Thursday game. There's a shot. I think the Eagles and KC play each other too. So if they do, that would probably be it over the Miami one. But there's that, you work in a Monday night game. You got road games. You know what I mean? If you work in a West Coast team somewhere, something. If we play any West Coast teams, I don't remember who we play this year. Then you can throw them on at 4:00, 4:30. I don't know. I just have a feeling that you could see them trying negate that some, not to be unfair to Miami, but just based off what happened.
If Miami doesn't get to play at home in the summertime, then Buffalo doesn't get to play at home in the wintertime.
Well, they'll play at home. They just may not play at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. They're definitely not going to play at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
They just may not play at 1 p.m. What do you think, Alf? You think there's a shot of that, or are they going to just go as normal and there's going to be some hot 1 p.m. Miami games this year, at least a couple?
Well, what they're going to do is that they're going to flip-flop them, and that's what they usually do from year to year. At least that's what they try to do. So what's going to happen is that Miami will not have the heat against the Patriots and the Bills. They'll be playing in New England and in Buffalo early in the year.
Oh, okay.
But they will get the Jets in the heat early in the season.
Oh, yes.
Let's melt Aaron Rodgers into a puddle.
Yeah, I'm so not worried about the Jets. I'm just going to say it.
I'm not
worried about Aaron Rodgers. I'm still worried about the stuff I was worried about last year. Worried about their run game. I'm worried about their defense. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, I got to give Aaron Rodgers some level of respect as a quarterback over Zach Wilson. It's obvious. It's an obvious upgrade. But excuse me. What kills me, though, were those power rankings that I talked about in this morning's episode of Finn's Nation. The Jets are top 10. In power rankings now because of Aaron Rodgers. What? Top 10?
It's fine. It's remember, those are all being done by an 80% New York media anyway. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't care. Dolphins are going to ball this year. I'm not.
And then Kyle Brandt goes on NFL Network and says that Tua is a tier 6 quarterback.
That's fine. Kyle Brandt's a Buffalo guy, fake Buffalo guy because his team usually sucks, the Bears. So it's whatever. That means nothing to me as well. Nothing.
Yeah. The way I look at all those things is that these games will be played.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's absolutely nothing they can do to escape that. So, let them talk as much as they want right now,
Yeah, that's true. And until Tua got that concussion against Green Bay, he was absolutely outperforming Aaron Rodgers 3-1 in that game last year. So
Aaron Anders saying you don't want to see the Good Morning Football AFC QB list. Already saw it.
That's
really what we're talking about, man.
Yeah, but it's Kyle Brandt's. That's why. It's not the Good Morning Footballs. It's Kyle Brandt's.
Give Jimmy Garoppolo over to it. Give me a break,
that's just silly town. That's how the second I saw that, I didn't even look at the rest of the list. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, moving on. This argument that we're having, this conversation we're having, that was one for last year before we saw the product on the field. What's it look like with McDaniel, with Tua? It's going to be even better this year.
Here's Shane Short saying the deep run of the defense works, which it will, and Tua stays healthy, which I think he will. My prediction, AFC Championship game or better. I think offense will be lethal this year. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I really, really don't. The only thing that can mess this whole thing up is if Tua does end up going down for more than like 2 or 3 games.
You're going to hear me say this probably 40 times on the show until the season starts. This entire season depends on two things: the health of Tua and what Fangio does with the defense. And how far this team goes of being a fringe playoff game versus being a Super Bowl team depends on those two things. That's it. That's it. And, and that's just how it's going to go down. Because we had a ton of injuries last year, too, to fight through. But the one injury that really cost us was the Tua injury. The rest we managed through. If we can keep Tua healthy and Fangio can actually work this talented defense the way we think he can, we could go to the Super Bowl. A lot of other great teams. So you never know. But we're in the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Realistically in the conversation, not just hopeful fan who thinks somehow we're going to manage to put it together. We're past that now. Realistically, we're a contending team. So it doesn't really matter to me what Kyle Brandt says or what New York media thinks about the Jets' power rankings in May. I could give a shit. It means nothing. It really does.
One last tweet from columnist Finns, a good friend of ours who's been following for a long time. I think you're absolutely correct. This roster is pretty much set. Areas of weakness were improved, not all, and the coaching staff has been leveled up. Still work to do with contracts and perhaps an opportunistic signing here and there. Delvin Cook. But the core is...
tackle. Cam Fleming.
But the core is in place. I like it. Yes, absolutely. As far as this roster is probably the most talented roster I've seen the Miami Dolphins have in literally forever. I think the last time I remember saying this talented roster was when Ndamukong Suh was on the team.
Oh man,
we had spent a lot of money during the.
I think this is a way more talented roster.
I said since.
Yeah, than that. This talent on this roster. Now, this was more all one-sided, but the talent on this roster reminds me of back in the day when we went out in the Marino years and signed a ton of free agents. We signed Keith Jackson, we signed Keith Byers, we signed Fryer, we signed Ingram. We spent like a year or two just going nuts, and it was all on one side of the ball. But it just kind of reminds me of that, but more spread out on the team this time, not just a bunch of receivers. That's the feeling I get. That feeling of excitement I had that year in the offseason was like nothing I'd ever felt. And I feel the excitement for that team leading into this year like I did that year. And we're going back, Alf, what are we going back to? Like 1990, what year was that? 93, 95. I can't even remember what year that was.
The year that they sold out to that they had all those first round picks, that was 1995. But I don't think that was the team that I think was the most talented. 2002, 2001, those were really talented teams. This team is better
because the defense was Hall of Fame type players, like one of the best defenses in the league, and probably one of the best that the league had seen within, one of the better defenses of the decade. You're not saying the best, obviously. We had Baltimore in there. So I just don't want people to freak out on me, but one of the better defenses. And then we had Ricky Williams running his ass off.
Yeah, right, so this team has the pass receivers, even though Chambers was on that team in
he was a good receiver. Yeah.
But this team has the quarterback and the pass receivers.
Yeah, he's definitely Tua's definitely an upgrade over Jay Fiedler.
Yes.
Just saying. No offense to Jay,
and that
great
team
guy.
And that team had a couple of really good offensive linemen. This team, to be fair, Connor Williams, Teron Armstead, Robert Hunt, they're really good too. So as far as talent, man, I think you go past that one. I'm thinking 1994 is probably in the cards. But even if you go past that one, 1990, the Tim McKyer team, where they had Tim McKyer, they had Troy Vincent on the outside. They had just gotten Troy Vincent.
Tim McTyer.
Tim McTyer, yes.
Torrey's father?
I don't know. Is he?
Torrey McTyer? Because I remember Tim McTyer was following me for a while, and it was because of Torrey. I didn't even know Tim McTyer played for the Dolphins.
You didn't know that?
Oh, I really didn't.
I don't even think Lewis was
because
born
Torrey
yet.
had landed on the Dolphins.
Lewis wasn't even born yet, Alf.
Well, let me take you down.
Tim McTyer played 2 seasons for Philly and 1 for the Browns.
Okay, so it's the wrong one. It's God. What the hell is that guy's name?
I remember JB Brown. I'm just going through the names that I remember. Lewis Oliver.
No, but Lewis, that's like right around that era. But I'm talking about number 22, Tim McKyer. Tim McKyer, I think was his name. I think that was his name.
Okay, what was the
He was
year
one
of
of
the
the
roster?
best. He was one of the best. Yeah, Tim McKyer. He was one of the best cornerbacks in all of football that year. Tim McKyer. Later on, he made a Pro Bowl. Yeah,
It was
Tim
one. It
McKyer
was
was
one
on
of
the
the better
19.
defenses we had back in the
Uh,
Marino years.
yeah, in 1990, I think 1990 is the year that they were probably the best, the best team that they had. Tim McKyer was pretty much a shutdown corner. You know, played in 19 playoff games. Think about that. Okay.
All right, I'm looking through the list here.
So we got somebody asked who's going to be the best rookie for the Dolphins this season.
Michael Turk.
He could be.
I
That's not a terrible choice.
Okay, there's your guy
but I
Tim
think
McKyer
Achain,
out.
yeah.
1990. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what was the cornerback tandem, and I think that was a really talented team in 1990. That team was absolutely loaded.
It was Tim McKyer and JB Brown.
Yeah, but and they had another guy off the bench. The safeties were Jarvis Williams, Lewis Oliver,
Kerry Glenn.
yeah, they had him too.
Stephon Moore. He played 7 games.
Yeah, and on
Jarvis
offense,
Williams.
they had, they had a young Tony Martin. He was only 25 years old. You know, they had Troy Stratford on that team as a second-year player.
Little Troy.
You know?
So Bo made a comment about NFL holding back out Tua. Let's be real clear on what really went down last year. It wasn't the NFL that was causing so much trouble. It was the NFLPA. Because the NFLPA is the weakest, most feckless union of all the major sports, and it's not close. So they always have to go in and pretend like they're trying to do something for the players, like the players pay them all that money for a freaking reason, because it certainly isn't to help them get more money or anything. They give them weed. They give them less padded practices, but not the money, not the percentage of the profits that they should be getting compared to the NBA and MLB. So they go up there and pull bull crap like they pulled last year with Tua a couple times. Thank you. And then pull, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy did not wobble Bridgewater. That was the issue, not the NFL. I just wanted to kind of make that clear.
I'm looking at 1992, and then you could go 1994, the two most talented rosters before this one, I would say. But yeah, this team is really, really, really talented. I'm looking back through this, and even by the way they performed, 1990 and 1992, I think the 1992 team was actually better. And the 1992 team went 11-5. That's the one that lost in the AFC Championship game against Buffalo. So, yeah, that was the most talented team. That one had Troy Vincent. That's the one that had Troy Vincent and J.B. Brown at corner. And it had Keith Jackson. It had Bobby Humphrey at running back. Yeah, they were loaded. That team was absolutely loaded. Had the Marx Brothers and Tony Martin. And then in 1994, that's when they loaded up on offense. And then that's when they got Ingram.
Fryer, Jackson, Byers.
Yeah, they got Jackson in 1990 too.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, and then so in 1994, they had Keith Jackson, but then they added Irving Fryer, Mark Ingram, and Keith Byers to that team.
Yeah, because they had Byers and Jackson both previously from Philly.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and call it a show here. We went a little bit over. I know Ron's got to get going, but since this show is literally called Grading the Draft Class, just real quickly here, what would you go ahead and give we can include the undrafted free agents if you want. Go ahead if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and just give the Miami Dolphins a B. I give it a B and not an A just because, again, I had my ideas of what I wanted the Dolphins to pick. Now, I don't have an issue with any of the players. I like what they did as far as the players are concerned now, and I like the flexibility it gives them. I just personally would have preferred if they put a little more emphasis on the actual weak spots of the team if we're going to make the Super Bowl push. That's my opinion. Ron?
I was going to say a solid B. I say solid B only because I don't know how you give. Maybe I give an A for the picks that they had and what they did with it because I think they put some real talent on the team in those couple picks in the second and third round. But overall, you got to give it a B. They didn't even have a first round. They didn't have a fourth or fifth pick. It's tough, but I think they did the best they could with the picks they had. They didn't reach for a tackle because they needed a tackle or reach for a tight end because they needed a tight end, etc., which is what I like to see. I like to see just a team add talent, even in an area that isn't necessarily a need. I think when teams do that on the regular in the draft, that's when good things happen down the road or keep happening. Alf?
Let's give them. For me, in my opinion, it's a B plus because I would have liked to have more picks. So I would have tried to figure out a way to add a pick inside of the top 100 because there was a lot of useful players in there. And then I probably would have went out and got the tight end. But since we don't know what the trade market was like at the moment, I'll give them a very, very solid A minus because I think that the top two guys will play and will play enough to make an impact this year. So I would say mission accomplished on that end, and that's what you wanted.
You think we could, between Smith and Achane, get 750 total snaps together?
Yeah, easily.
Most of those will come from Smith, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, Achane. Yeah, I said this before, and I really believe it. Achane could give you 12 snaps a game and have the most consequential 12 snaps anywhere.
I still think Devon Achane is going to be the Darren Sproles of this offense. I really do.
If he is, then he's going to play a much bigger role than just being an impact player for 12 snaps. That means he'll play half the game, really.
If he does that, if he's really as talented as it looks.
And when your head coach who runs the offense draws up the plays and calls them, gives a fist pump when you get drafted, you're probably going to be a halfway decent part of that offense when you're a running back. Because running back's that's one of the best, easiest positions, I guess. I don't want to say easy because none of it's easy. That's one of the more likely positions for a rookie to shine versus some other positions. Running back might be maybe right, Alf? Like if you looked at, if you took the scale, it's running back first, maybe tight end last, and everyone else in between.
Yeah, pretty much. It's something like that.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see Cam Smith, man. I'm excited about that too. I mean, maybe we have another rookie cornerback who comes in and does extremely well. I mean, it's not that a rookie can't do it at a cornerback. Look what Kader Kohu did last year.
And he was undrafted.
Free agent. Yeah, it's crazy.
So Bo says, good show. Thanks for sharing. So y'all's time with us. New subscriber on board. Bo, listen, you came to the right place. We have Dolphins content literally every day. I do Fins Nation every morning at 5 a.m., which will stay open. If you don't wake up, then you can still listen to it later. It's still relevant. But Pulse of Fins Nation every single week. There are other shows happening. 3 Yards Per Carry, obviously one of the best, if not the best, Dolphins podcasts on the internet. Ron is here. I know Ron doesn't do podcast solo anymore, but he could if I ever need a break. Hey, like Ron, can you spell me next week, Ron? I could use a quick break.
I'll give you a day next week.
Okay, I'll take a day next week. Thank you.
Yeah,
I need to spend more time with my lady.
Yeah. You see? Yeah, you got a lady in the house now. You picked the wrong time in your life to do a podcast 5 days a week, bro.
I mean, hey, she's been supportive and I appreciate her for it. So, but we're going to go ahead and call it here. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. One more quick shout out. If you haven't already done so, make sure you check out You Break Wheel Fix if you need to get your wheels fixed up, or if you just want to give your ride a new look. They're located just south of Aventura. Reach out to Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at You Break Wheel Fix, or you can just shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter to get an estimate in just minutes. They can customize you with new custom wheels, make it really look like a Dolphins car, performance upgrades, window tinting, suspension. If you want to make it bounce, I can probably make it bounce, man. So go to You Break Wheel Fix and reach out to them at 305-748-0112 or online at youbreakwheelfix.com. And of course, go to prizepicks.com if you really want to get yourself some fantasy sports wins. Use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up using that promo code, which literally means that if you deposit $100 using our promo code when you sign up, Prize Picks will immediately give you $100 for you to play with on their dime. So you don't even have to touch the money you deposited until you play through all that other stuff that they literally give you for free. So it's a free $100. Don't waste it. Go to prizepicks.com. Use that promo code 5. That's FIVE. Gentlemen, any passing thoughts before we call it?
I'm pumped for the season, man. I'm pumped.
So am I. But
Cap for life, you showed up way too late, my friend. You're going to have to watch the replay.
I think, they were on the field, which is kind of exciting, and they'll be returning for OTAs pretty soon. And I'm gonna try to be out there for OTAs.
I can't wait to see what Vic Fangio does. I really can't, and I can't wait to hear about all the stuff that you won't be allowed to tell us publicly on OnlyFins. $3 a month, folks.
Yep.
All right, that's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next week for another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation.